So we're going to take a look at converting radians and degrees into radians. So let's look at radians to degrees. 3/4. So take 180 divided by 4. Count 3 of them. That's 3/4. What's 3/4 of 180? Well, let's start off with what's a quarter of 180. A quarter is 45 degrees. So 3 of 45 degrees would be 45 times 3, which would be 135 degrees. What about a third? If you divide 180 into 1/3, into fractions of a third, you're going to get each one is what, 60? So one of them is just 60. What about sixth? So if you take a semicircle again and you divide it into 6 equal parts, so in the middle and then 2, the middle and then 2, each of those is going to be worth 30, right? Because 30 goes into 180. Yeah, 3 goes into 18, exactly, 6 times. So 5 of those would be 5 times 30, which 5 times 3 is 15, add the 0, so 150. Okay, so all you're doing is basically in your mind dividing this semicircle into fractions. Okay, so looking at these degrees, radians is just another way of how to measure degrees. All right, so let's look at this number line. We have degrees on the top and we have radians on the bottom. That's going to be 0. Well, what's 90? What's half of a semicircle? 90 degrees, so half 90. What about 180 is pi? 270 is 3/4 of a circle, right? But that's bigger than pi. So you have to think a quarter of a circle, right, is pi over 2. So now we have 3/4. So we're going to add pi to the quarter of a circle and we're going to get 3 pi over 2. And then 360 as you go around it, that's 2 semicircles, so that's 2 pi. All right, so now we're going to express the radian into degrees. So think a third. What's a third of 180? We know that's 60. All right. What about a fourth? A fourth we know is 45. So we have 5 of those. So 5 times 45, and that's going to give us 135. So it's just like before. This is a listening check. Draw and color this half circle. All right, so looking at example 6, we have a third, which we know is 60. And now we have 2 of those. So 2 times 60 is going to give me 120. So 120 degrees. So that's how you convert from radians into degrees. Now we're going to look at converting degrees into radians. This is a listening check. Color the 0 where degrees is on the number line. So again, just like before, you're copying what's above the page. We've already gone over that. We're going to turn 30 degrees. Well, we know 30 degrees is 1/6, right? So that's going to be pi over 6. You need to remember special fractions. So let me go over a couple of things. So if we divide a semicircle into 6, so 180 divided by 6 is going to give me 30 degrees. 180 divided by 4 is going to give me 45 degrees. So fourths is 45. 9 divided by 9 is going to give me 20 degrees. Divided by 15 is going to give me 12 degrees. Those are like the common ones I see. So it's good for you to know like 1/6 is 30, 1/4 is 45. All right, so let's look at 120. 120, right? I know 3 can go into 12 4 times, right? So 4 30s is 120, which means if 30 is a sixth, 4 1/6 is 120. And then, of course, if you reduce the fraction, it's going to be 2/3. Now, the other way that you could look at this is in terms of 2 60s are 120, and I know 60, right, is 1/3, so 2 of them is 2/3. So whichever way, just depending on which way you look at the fraction, will work. All right, so 315, I can't really think of the fraction like right off my head just like that. So what I'm going to do is actually teach you the foolproof way. You're asking yourself how many 180s go into 315. So if you take 315 and then you divide that by 180 and put that in the calculator and then press math, enter, it'll give it to you as a fraction, which was 7/4. So 7/4 pi. Okay, so again, just going to use a calculator to do that. However, you could still do it by sections. And that's pretty much it. Let's practice.